Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
God bless the child that's got his own. Got his own what? Did you ever think about that? I think for the sake of this morning's conversation, I'd like to say, God bless the child that has his or her own strong, powerful understanding of who they are and where they dwell. And when you have that, you have all the character, the strength, the tenacity, all the qualities that you need to walk out into this world. And to do it with victory, and to do it with joy, and to do it with great love in your heart. So that's what we're going to be talking about this morning, and this morning is a kickoff for actually the next 2 weeks. You could even say, if you so choose, the next month. This morning we're going to be talking about the work of Byron Katie. It's contained summarily in this book called Loving What Is. We're going to talk about 4 basic principles this morning, as well as the 4 essential questions that she encourages us to ask of any thought or belief or assumption that we may be holding on to in our lives that is bringing us one of 3 things: stress, anxiety, or fear. Am I talking to the right audience this morning? Now, how many in the room during the past week have had even a sliver of fear, anxiety, or stress? You're in the right place this morning. Because the keys that are contained in these simple questions that she encourages us to ask are true liberators in your life, my friends. From personal experience, I speak that there is nothing that you can ever encounter that this process will not ultimately liberate you from. So any old thought that you've been holding on to, belief, assumption, judgment about the world, about yourself, about other people, not that any of us in the room ever judge anybody else. But in that rare event that it should happen to you, I'm going to give you some gems, some real gems this morning. It begins this morning. It continues next Sunday. This afternoon, we are going to explore it in more depth as it relates to personal issues in your own life. So I want to encourage you to be here at 1 o'clock in the chapel just off the foyer for a workshop that I'm going to facilitate, wherein we'll really look at how the principles I'm discussing this morning relate to your personal day-to-day experiences in life. And then tomorrow night, we begin a 4-week-long series of mystical mind classes that focus on another of Byron's books called A Friendly Universe. This starts tomorrow night and runs for 4 weeks. How many of you believe that you live in a friendly universe? And for how many of you does it seem always 24/7 that the universe is being friendly to you personally? It's a little more challenging, isn't it? So that's why I think it's of such value for us to explore these ideas. Byron Katie is also going to be back with us. She's actually a good friend of all of us here at Unity on the Bay. She's spoken here many times, and she actually does the work in front of you with individuals in the congregation. So you'll be able to experience that in September, and if you're interested, we already have tickets available online. You can go secure yours, because I'm telling you, this work, my friends, which really has its origin in some of the deep, esoteric, and spiritual teachings of all time, ancient teachings. But the practical manner in which she gives it to us in her presentation is hugely valuable. So be with us in September as well. To give you an idea of what happened to bring forth this teaching, I want to share with you just a little bit about Byron Katie's story. She experienced a bout of 10 years of severe depression, in which she became overweight, highly judgmental, and angry at everybody and everything, including the members of her family. It was in February of 1986 that she awoke one morning, and suddenly, and I think this is probably the dream all of us hold, she found that her depression and all of the thoughts and all of the judgments and all of the emotional reactions of anger and negativity that she once held were no longer a part of her. She says she just looked out and felt a freedom from her own judgments of herself, others, and life. and began to recognize something that was just a short ways beyond the compelling evidence that had been occupying the time and space of her experience. So she experienced an overnight healing, literally, and came forth with 4 questions. We're going to get into those in just a minute, that changed her life, and they can change yours. Let me present to you the 4 basic premise that her work is based on. The first one begins with, everything happens for me, not to me. Would you say that with me? Everything happens for me, not to me. Now, in order to embrace that statement, you have to release any sense of yourself that might be locked into an idea that you are a victim of anybody and anything. My friends, victimization is the number one issue that causes unrest and a lack of peace in your life and in the world. So this statement in itself is quite a mouthful. If you can wake up every morning and really believe it, that this is a friendly universe, and that everything that is coming to you, everything that is happening to you, is designed to support you in the liberation of your own consciousness from erroneous assumptions that you have made that have been causing you to experience the illusion of fear, of stress and anxiety that right now, I believe, sitting in this room, you might very well be willing and ready to release. She says, there's no mistake in the universe. Everything is for you. The universe is friendly. Any thought that opposes that is going to feel like stress. So if you oppose it, you lose, but only 100% of the time. And she says, I love that because you can trust it. Because you can trust it. You can trust the understanding, the idea that it's a friendly universe. You see, what has happened to us, we were just recently blessed by the Ruiz family, who, as you know, in the 4 Agreements, teaches the art of human domestication. We have been domesticated to believe that it is not a friendly universe, and that we have to be watching around every corner for whoever or whatever might be trying to get in the way of our happiness and our fulfillment. So the shift in your own mind, the release of belief and investment in this idea that it is an unfriendly universe, truly is your ticket to changing your experience of reality. And I encourage you to really take that thought and that belief and begin to infuse it into your consciousness on a regular basis. This is a friendly universe. Premise number 2. Katie saw that when she believed her thoughts, she suffered. And that when she did not believe her thoughts, she didn't suffer. What had been causing her depression was not the world around her, but what she believed about the world around her. Now we're back to understanding ourselves as being liberated from victimization. There is nobody, my friends. As hard as this can be to believe, from the perspective of unity, what are we always telling you? One presence, one power, it's God, it's good. There is nobody anywhere, and there is no situation in your life that can bring you pain, suffering, sorrow, anger, despair, stress, or anxiety. These experiences do not come from anybody or anything outside of you. This world that you experience from day to day is neutral in its ultimate creation. You and I are the ones who, by virtue of the power of our thinking, of the investment in our beliefs, begin to define this world, define our experiences, and define the characters around us. And it's really easy to forget that, isn't it? Because so often we look and we believe that the source of our problem, our difficulty, is out here. It's in that one person that we cannot get along with. It's in that one foreboding circumstance or situation that we can't seem to overcome. Here is the key to the work, and here is the key to your own spiritual liberation, your own spiritual awakening. Cease trying to change people and circumstances outside of you and recognize that every time you are having a negative emotional reaction to anybody or anything, it is your red flag. And it is trying to tell you something not about the world or people or circumstances outside of you. It's trying to tell you something about yourself. So when that inclination comes to want to throw the blame out here, retract it and transform it from blame to responsibility. Take responsibility that it is not anything outside of you creating the difficulty or the challenge or the stress. It is your reaction to it. It is the manner in which you have defined it. And for most of us, we define present circumstances based on the context of things that have happened to us in the past. And then we wonder why our present moment reality keeps repeating and repeating and repeating itself. It is because we have not dealt with the ultimate cause of our own experience, which is within us. So the more that you feel inclined, this time I heard what he said on Sunday, but this time it has everything to do with this person out here. The more you believe that, the more you need to pull that back in, baby. Own it. Now this experience, this journey is not for the faint-hearted, because we've grown accustomed to throwing blame and responsibility outside of us. We must take now responsibility for our experience. We must own it, and we must be willing to claim it so that why? We can remedy it. Literally, for God's sake, for heaven's sake, we can remedy it. And no one else can do that for us. Here's the third premise. The work reveals that what you think should not have happened, should have happened. How do you know? Because it happened. Either this orchestration is under divine order or it's not. If it is under divine order, that means that regardless of your opinion about it, regardless of your judgment about it, it happened because it needed to happen, and within it always is the seed through which you can experience a sense of freedom, of greater joy, and become an expression of greater love in the world. It should have happened because it did happen, and no thinking in the world is going to change that. That doesn't mean that you condone or approve it. It just means that you can see things without resistance and without the confusion of your inner struggle. A lot of times when people begin to study Byron Katie, they think that it's all about just loving and accepting everybody and everything and condoning and approving all behavior regardless of who it may hurt or harm. That is not the case, my friends. The situation with the work is that, first of all, you own responsibility for your interpretation, and you clear up and you clean up your own internal consciousness so that you may go out into the world with that clean, clear consciousness and make a difference by taking extraordinarily powerful and effective action. So action is there, but it's clear, clean action. You see, when somebody gets angry at you or makes you angry, or so you think, when a situation comes along your path that you don't like, there's a tendency, a natural human tendency, to want to fight fire with fire. Amen? You made me angry, I'm going to make you angry. You betrayed me, I'm going to betray you. Whatever it might be. What I'm saying is, when you do the work inside of yourself, when you cleanse, when you clear, when you clean your own consciousness, your own internal world, you're not walking out into the world with the weight of all that negative emotion on your shoulders, and you're certainly not going out there with that being your motivator. You're clear, you're clean, your purpose and your cause is to love, to embrace, to behold the presence of God in all people, in all situations, at all times. Now, all of your energy can go into finding effective solutions to whatever the problems may seem to be in your life or in the world. I want to share a little story with you this morning. I've shared it before, but I love the story because it makes such a powerful illustration. There's a couple, a newlywed couple. They have their first home. They just bought it. It has a lovely little kitchen and a dining area with a bay window that looks out over their own backyard and the backyards of two neighbors. One morning, they're sitting there enjoying their coffee. The husband is reading the newspaper, and the wife is looking out the window at the neighbor's laundry hanging on the line, and she says, "Oh, my God. Look at that filthy laundry over there. Somebody needs to teach that woman how to wash her own clothes, her family's clothes. I can't believe that she would send her children to school dressed like that. Dirt and stains. It's disgusting." The husband just keeps reading on the paper. A week passes. They're sitting there again. The laundry's out on the line once more, and she sees that it is even worse than it was the previous week. Darker and dirtier and dingier. And she rants and raves to her husband again. Third week comes. The situation is even worse. She's on the verge of going over to have a conversation with the neighbor lady. Give her some new laundry detergent or something. Buy her a new washing machine. At any rate, the fourth week arrives, and she's looking out there, and she's stunned. "Honey, you're not going to believe this," she says. "Look at that. Her laundry is immaculate. It's beautiful. The whites are so clear and clean and crisp. Somebody must have taught the poor woman how to do laundry." And the husband looks up from his newspaper and says, "Either that or I washed our windows." Now, that's a funny story, but if you really get that story, it's hugely, hugely valuable, my friends. We're all out there in the world and with our families and with our friends judging their laundry every day, not realizing that it is our windows that need to be washed. And what we're seeing has nothing to do with the person outside of us, has nothing to do with the neighbors, and certainly has nothing to do with their qualifications to be living their life. It has to do with our own inability to see clearly because of our dirty windows. Your mission on this planet, my friends, please hear me on this, is not to tell the neighbors how to do the laundry. Your business is to get out there and wash your frickin' windows. Your business and my business. Now we're all going to go out and open laundromats. The world will be a better place. Self-cleansing laundromats. Here's the fourth premise. What the work gives us is a way to change the projector, the mind, rather than the projected. It's like when there's a piece of lint on a projector's lens and we think there's a flaw on the screen and we try to change this person or that person, whomever the flaw appears to be on next. Have you noticed, by the way, that the flaw keeps appearing on one person after another and it seems to be the same flaw? You know, you married somebody, you divorce them, you find a new person, you fall in love, and then pretty soon, well, there's that flaw again. How peculiar. How did that end up there? It ended up there because it's on your lens. And it'll always be there until you take it off your lens. So she goes on to say it's futile to try and change projected images. Once we realize where the lens is, we can clear the lens itself. So we need to get out our spiritual Windex bottles, my friends, and start this business of cleansing our own vision. The problem is not out there. The challenge to be overcome is in our own vision. It's in our own perception. Now, this afternoon, as I said earlier, we're going to actually be sitting down 1 o'clock and doing this work together regarding personal, specific situations in your own life. Right now, I would like for you to think of one situation, one person. This is a tough assignment, folks, that is evoking some kind of stress, anxiety, or negativity inside of you. How long do you need to come up with that person? Doesn't take me long, and I'm standing up here preaching this stuff. Think about that individual, think about that circumstance, and here's the 4 questions that make up the work of Byron Katie. The first one is, before I go to the questions, let me say, I want you to try to find the belief, find the thought. Remember, it's not the person out there. Whoever this is, it's not the person. It's not the situation. Find the thought that you are holding that is defining that person or that situation for you. Are you there? Can you think of the thought that you're holding? He should, she shouldn't, they ought, whatever it might be. Find that and then ask these 4 questions. Number 1, is that thought, is that belief true? And your first inclination might be to say, well, of course it's true. I can see that. The whole world can see that. This person is a jerk. We all got that. Then ask the second question. Can you be absolutely certain that it is true? And I'll tell you this, my friends, there's very little, if anything, that you can be absolutely certain of ever. One of our biggest challenges in life is that we think we know so much. So really look at that. Can you be absolutely certain that this thought that you're holding that's creating your experience is true? Number 3, how do you react? Who do you become? What happens inside of you when you're holding on to that thought? That person is a miserable jerk. It automatically begins to tighten you up. It automatically begins to close you off. It automatically begins to make you stressed, uncomfortable, or fearful. And then the next question is, who would you be if you didn't have that thought? And let me tell you something, my friends. You may think that thoughts have been inflicted on you. They have not been inflicted on you. Every thought you're thinking right now, every belief you're holding in your consciousness right now, you put there, and you're determined right now to keep it there until you have a reason to release it. That's why I say this journey is not for the faint-hearted, because it means in that most critical moment when you are certain it is all about the other person, remember that you have 3 fingers pointing back at yourself as you're pointing at the target out here. Back at yourself. Back. Do this work. This is where liberation begins, and this is where happiness can thrive, because the reality is this. Yes, it's true what we tell you every week. one presence, one power, one God. It's good. But you're never going to experience that in your day-to-day existence until you bring your thinking, your thoughts, your emotions into alignment with it. What is the one presence and the one power of God. What you think there is good, bad, right, wrong, fortune, misfortune. You cannot change the experience of ultimate reality, which is that you're in the kingdom of God right now. But you sure as hell can make your life a living hell by holding on to erroneous and false assumptions about yourself. So I have a statement to leave you with this morning, and it's this. I live in a friendly universe in which everything happens for me and not to me. Will you say that with me? I live in a friendly universe in which everything happens for me, not to me. Stay with us. Be back here next week. Join me this afternoon. We're going to do some real heavy soul searching to get ourselves free of the hell that we've created for ourselves and discover we've been in heaven all along. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Chris. As our ushers come forward, I'm just going to invite you to take a moment and just connect to that place within you and just feel the gratitude for the message that you received this morning, the messages that you receive here at Unity on the Bay. Connect to that place within you that is grateful for the music and the way that the music inspires you at Unity on the Bay. Connect to the smiles of our ushers as they greet you on your way in. Just all the ways in which Unity on the Bay and its people, really, the community, bring you a smile, bring you some joy, bring you some peace. Your love offerings and your giving goes to support those very same people. It is through your love offerings, through your tithes, that we are able to serve the over 20 service teams that we have at Unity on the Bay. And so with that in mind, I just invite you to prepare your love offering. If you're online, you can go to our linked website there to give. You can bring out your cell phone if you want to give through text giving. But whichever way that you are giving, just recognize it as a sacred opportunity to give thanks, to give of yourself for all that you have received, and to allow that expansion of who we are as a community to support others. Take a deep breath and speak our love offering blessing with me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Amen.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.